Institute of, if you like, the Lusaka International Arbitration Center. My colleague seated next to me, Mr. Kawesha. Let me recognize the provincial minister or her representative. Let me recognize Deputy Mayor of Lusaka, Attorney General, Solicitor General, distinguished judges that are here, and members of the legal fraternity, and indeed other professional bodies, leaders of those bodies, but also members. I must acknowledge the presence of other central government, local government leaders or representatives. I do recognize that we have amidst us high commissioners, ambassadors accredited to Zambia from our partner countries, and also Lars, particularly for your role in driving us to where we are today, what we are here to do today, together with your other bodies. I did mention before, but I wanted directly to make reference to that, because this president of LAS and I had a pep talk at the LAS AGM in Livingstone not long ago, and we chatted around what we are doing today. And it's really delightful to see that to be realized to what it is or we are officiating today. Let me simply say, ladies and gentlemen, it is my duty first and foremost to express my appreciation for inviting me to officiate at this event today, very important event today, the launch of the Lusaka International Arbitration Center at the Lars House here. And I must acknowledge that face value, I was very impressed with the setup upstairs, because the team chair and some of his team members took me upstairs when I came. Very, very impressive. And I think it befits the international status that we want this Lusaka International Arbitration Center to carry and grow into as we work in providing alternative dispute resolution. So I have always said to people, you shouldn't be men or women of the streets. You look very nice in the streets, you drive nice, beautiful cars, but when you get closer to who you are, closer to your home, closer to your office, the image changes. So this is why it's important to carry the image from inside and then outside. And you can be a semblance of the way you want to be defined. And that semblance will lead you to reality. So I must say I'm very impressed with what I've seen so far. Let me also indicate that this platform is extremely important. My colleagues who have spoken before me have said it all. But this platform is very, very important to our overall economic reconstruction, growth, expansion, call it any name, agenda. Very, very important. It's a fine one, professional component. Sometimes citizens see the bigger physical things that they would like to see, a building, a road, a bridge. But this, which we are doing today, is critical and a critical ingredient to our economic growth agenda. Very, very important. My colleagues have touched on that already, because it's the inside of what we want our country to be, the vision we espouse, and when people come in this country, we invite them to invest in this country together with us. And I'm emphatic about that. We invite colleagues to invest with us in this country. And when they come in, having attracted them from outside, this outside could be just neighboring countries. as I invited Botswana to invest with us in the mining sector, to pick the lessons of how they've managed just one of their resource endowment, diamond. We're going to do to our emeralds what Botswana has done with its diamonds. It's a big issue. So we are saying to them, we would like to invest with them here. And when they come here, they should basically see the reality of what we are telling them when we meet in Kasane, when we meet in Botswana, when we meet in Livingstone in Zambia. When they are inside here, they will basically be faced with challenges, including things that will lead to disputes. And this center will be able to deal with those issues expeditiously. I think we must clap for the initiators of this. Many times, I do the work you elected me to do. To be the chief marketer, yes. But also to be the chief investment officer, yes. Anything you want to call me, I'm your servant. But people come in here with high expectations, and they land in our country to get a small thing done. Takes days, weeks, takes months, even years. This is not tolerable, should not be tolerable. This should not be acceptable. And that's why institutions like this one occupies a special role. It will allow us to walk the talk, to be able to, I must say, in a civilized manner, within the rule of law. I think this is a tremendous development. I know some people may not see what I see myself, but I do believe those of you who are here see this platform. Need to sell it aggressively. And when we do that, those who will be arbitrating here, those who will be resolving conflicts here, challenges here, must retain that professionalism, that integrity, and the feeling of satisfaction by clients once they've come through this process. And they become the best marketers to us within our economy and indeed the region and the global community. My colleagues have articulated some of the value aspects. Let me just return by way of example. Minister of Commerce talked about the challenges we inherited in unlocking this economy. Of course, the familiar one you know is the debt restructuring. I'm grateful for the support from all of you, as professionals, as individuals, as families, as communities. First, the opportunity you gave us to serve. Secondly, the patience to allow us to run through a very complicated process. I'm a transactions person myself. Some may know. This was a very complex process, convoluted with geopolitics, bilateral debt, some of which the agreements were structured very poorly. their interpretation is ambiguous and, to say the least, extremely expensive, very expensive. So we expect this center, we believe it will discharge its duty to help us refine the frameworks. I know, Chair, you asked for the inclusion of clauses in various agreements, but we want a reciprocity for you to look into the existing agreements, previous, and see the flaws that we experienced during the debt restructuring. And we should never get there again as a country. We should vow to say never ever again should we walk that route. And this center will help us in getting the job done. I don't think many people see it that way, but I wish to highlight it. Here's another example. We have a debt mountain to deal with. We take over, you give us this country to run as your servants. Then we have a breakdown in the rule of law, generally. It compounds problems. What else do we find? We find literally areas we wanted to open quickly as a country to reconstruct our economy, build opportunities for jobs. They're convoluted in complications of litigation. I know the big ones, you know. KCM. Took us a long time to bring parties to the table. I issued a guidance immediately, coming from where I am, my sins of the past, that litigation can take so long and you will not be able to access the assets you want to access to help you turn the economy around. KCM was one of them. It was in court for many years. And parties were even encouraging each other to start more cases against each other. Honestly. Do you really want to use those assets to reconstruct the economy? I don't think so. So we labored to get parties to agree that we don't do business in court. I'm sorry, Chief Justice. We don't do business in court. Court is the last resort. When we fail to find solutions, it should be the last resort, not the resort of first instance. Isn't it, colleagues? Let's relax a little bit. I want us to be practical about what we're doing here. I don't want you to listen to me that I'm walking through notes. No, it's not an issue. I want you to contextualize what I'm saying. Parties were starting more court cases. The government then even compounds the issue and places in an interim liquidator there, just making things worse. Now we had to unravel all of this. Our instruction was that let's come out of court because this will be another 10-year period. And this critical asset which we want to contribute towards 3 million tons of copper will not be available for us to achieve, Chair, our economic agenda. I want to relate what we're doing here to the reality of the value we expect from this Lusaka International Arbitration Center. Colleagues. So it took us a long time even to convince ourselves within Cabinet that we must come out of court because that's the quickest way to a resolution. We managed after a big, big struggle. And today the Minister of Commerce is talking about nearing conclusion of the KCM transaction, Konkola Deep Mining Project. Think of the jobs. Think of the business opportunities, suppliers, contractors. Lawyers, accountants, economists, you should not see yourselves from the point of view of your training and that you are a lawyer, chapra. No, you can't do business as a lawyer only with lawyers. Who do you do business with? Banks, farmers. So we must grow outside limiting ourselves that I'm a lawyer, I'm an accountant, I'm an engineer. All these are facets that should allow us towards holistic transactions and the economy. Not to belabor the point, what you see in KCM nearing resolution was a fundamental belief that Litigation is not the answer. Colleagues, so this center is very important. Very important. Let me give you another example. Minister talked of Mopani. I know many of you just saw Mopani as a 100% company owned by government. It's not like that. Mopani belonged to creditors. That's the truth. So when I hear my colleagues in the political arena commenting about the Mopani transaction and demeaning the value of that transaction, you simply feel sorry for people. You feel sorry for people, genuinely, either out of ignorance or just spite. Mopani belonged to creditors. One creditor alone, Glencore, was owed $1.5 billion, with interest $1.72 billion. To unravel Mopani, we had to negotiate the Glencore debt alone from $1.7 billion to $500 million. Otherwise, we would not consummate the Mopani transaction. Now, if this institute was fully operational, Chair, quickly my guidance will have bring the institute on board. Are we together? So that the skills that are housed, and I'm glad, Chair, you were very clear that the skills are not just legal. The skills required here are accounting skills. Legal, accounting, economic, engineering, architectural skills, all of the multidisciplinary skills. Then this center will succeed. Because what we see, Chief Justice, matters are taken to court, and I'm really, really hammering on this one. They are taken to court, which has transaction elements in there, and you can see the documentation that the framers are not conscious of the accounting issues and what we call the audit trails. Those cases are too complicated for your judges to handle because they're not simple to understand. So you need the parties to isolate the technical issues in them, the number crunching in them, so that it's easier for a lawyer to argue, it's easier for a judge to fully understand the case. So that's why this center now should be able to have those cases coming here, because the skill sets are available here. It's a win-win situation, isn't it? Save the time, save the cost, but also the frustration. I'm aware of cases in court where parties end up shooting each other. Frustration, isn't it? This center must take off that frustration. I'm serious about these issues. I know you were celebrating First Quantum transaction. First Quantum transaction was in court for 10 years before we came into office. And the first thing we did, I called First Quantum colleagues, who I know very well from the past, 32 years back. Keep your relationship. Little advice I want to give to this center. As we formally launch the Lusaka International Arbitration Center, keep the network of contacts that the players here have built over years. They will be handy in resolving conflicts that come through here. I hope you got my message there. Keep those relationships. Don't burn the bridges. One call to the key owners of First Quantum. I said, guys, you know my views. You've known my views for 30 years. We can't litigate against each other, government and First Quantum, a partner. Come to the table. That was pretty easy because of a network, relationships. And with cessation of court matters in London, Chair, you don't even have to calculate the cost. Just one air ticket for the lawyer, for the client, and too much money. I'm belaboring this point so that we understand the value of this center and the expectations we have. The colleagues agreed. You won't believe it. The biggest job for me was to convince my government colleagues to accept to come to the table. I'm not joking. I'm not joking. I have 2 cabinet ministers here. They know what was going on in the cabinet meetings. And I have State House colleagues here. We convinced them, came to a table without you understanding the complications in there. What was First Quantum demanding from government, Solicitor General, Attorney General?
About $2 billion.
$2 billion from government. And government then created more cases to also claim $2 billion with an argument that these will square each other up. But it will take 20 years before you can prove that. So we came onto the table, goodwill, and we were able to unlock the expansion of Kansanshi mine. It could have closed 1 year from now. We've now extended its life to another 20 years, that mine. And you know the economic benefit. You know the legal fees that will accrue to the law firms that are associated. Beautiful, isn't it? We were able to open the nickel mine, and we now are developing the largest nickel mine on the African continent. This is reality. But this institute was not yet there. We now are saying, look at this workload. Plenty of work ahead of today, or after today. So be operational quickly. My last example, and I'm done with examples. Mamba coal mine owns a power station, 300 megawatts. ZESCO buys the power from Mamba to supply this building here. And ZESCO owed money to Mamba. And they took each other to court in London. I'm serious, Mr. Chairman. They took ZESCO here and the Mamba mine here, took each other to court in London. You see the agreements I was talking about, the way they were structured. Why would you put a clause that when you have a difference, go to London? Instead of going to that chairman, even if there was no institute, to help you resolve the matter, or go to my last president here. It's the way our minds were framed historically. This institute should change the framing of our minds. And I go there when there was a problem, and I'm new in the presidency, and in the briefing room, I'm given these details. So you guys are in court? Yes, in London. Okay. So you hope to resolve your matter in London? I said, yes. How much have you spent just to this stage where you are? Each had already spent about $12 million. I'm not joking. The numbers, you can get the numbers. $12 million. Then I said, guys, ZESCO, Mamba, government owns ZESCO. Government of Zambia is a shareholder in Mamba. So this pocket in the left is taking the right pocket to court. Not here, but in London. Is there a sense in that? Let's put aside our basic training. That's not right. Then I said to them, come out of court, litigation in London. Let's talk in this room. Within 40 minutes, we found the parameters of a solution. And Mamba's state is being serviced. So we lost $24 million. Now we are talking about putting phase 2 in Mamba, 300 megawatts. And ZESCO, Mamba, government, we're all talking to each other nicely, having coffee. This institute should deal with those issues. And no need to go to London. So you were the lawyers that framed these agreements. Can you stop framing agreements like that? I think I've said it all, isn't it? Stop framing agreements like that. I know some of the things you are interested in, to extend legal services. I understand that. But you can have more value, because next time it will be you taken to court. So you will have to fork out $12 million. It will be your business. So I think I've gone round by way of examples to drum up the value of the Lusaka International Arbitration Center. And I think it's better to work with facts. So you have a lot of work. The order book is already full. In case you had projected the numbers you were telling me upstairs, I think the numbers will be bigger. But the bigger numbers will still be lower cost to the economy. Forget the litigants. The cost to the economy will be much lower. That's why I took interest when we chatted last President in Livingston, and we offered support. I'm grateful that the Minister of Commerce, the Minister of Justice, and their teams have been available. They will continue to be available. We will continue to be available. This President will be available for anything else that needs to be provided to support the success of this Lusaka International Arbitration Center. If you like, it's a self-interest. If we want to grow this economy, which we do, it's in self-interest that we unlock transactions. Let me simply close by saying, with the debt restructuring, the mission impossible achieved, our focus now is to build this economy for jobs, for business opportunities. That's our focus. What's the economy? It's transactions. Many times we who are trained in this area want to complicate the subject and make you feel that we are very important people. The words we use, economy, macro, micro, variables, exchange rate, inflation rate, interest rates, all of these issues, is to confuse you. But it's a simple thing. It's just transactions. It's projects. It's a Lobito corridor. It's the Zambia Railways rehabilitation. It is Tazara rehabilitation. I'm being presumptuous, President, but I want to indicate that in a few months' time, we'll be signing 3 countries. And when I say it, you must believe it. It may take a bit of time. Tanzania, Zambia, China will be signing a total rehab of the Tazara Railway. A lot of money is going into it. That's the economy. Getting irrigation going. Bankers. I see, where is Mizinga? She's not here. Bankers. Insurance companies. Everybody. We need to work as a team. Just to allow a few farmers who have capacity to irrigate to get their water rights quickly. Wamazema, quickly. And then they can put their 1,000 hectares on irrigation. It means we're moving towards food security. Projects, transactions. I can go on. I think you got the message. But you knowledgeable people, pass this message to others. This is the economy. We can describe it in many ways. Accountants, economists, corporate, they'll be, oh, balance sheet is not looking okay. It's just assets and liabilities. That's all. If you borrow money the way we borrowed, the liability went up. In accounting terms, there must have been a compensating asset. Is it there? No. In Lubari we say Pimbi. It's not there. So can we now work together, colleagues, work together seriously to ramp up the economy and give support to this Lusaka International Arbitration Center to take the workload away from the presidents, away from cabinets? You help us quickly remove Chief Justice. all those cases that are taking long because they're complicated a bit and they're not framed properly, let's work with this center to chunk them out of there, bring them under the auspices of this beautiful center. I mean it. The judges should be able to, Judge Wood, I see you there. Somehow you can send a note to someone that I think this case is better dealt with by the Arbitration Center, Lusaka International Arbitration Center. I see Judge next to her, Lady Judge. Yes. We used to meet in the good days, old days. A side note, which then must be facilitated. So by that to happen, there must be an excellent relationship, Chief Justice, between your work, your institution, and this center. Regular meetings, liaison, happy coffee time. And then we can have a country that's now moving towards one agenda, economic reconstruction. And we can collect a bit more money as the Treasury and buy better cars for my judges. He's laughing. He knows why he's laughing. We are fighting over cars. And genuinely so. I officially launched and opened the Lusaka International Arbitration Center. And thank you for the grace you have accorded to me. God bless us all.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, for your stellar leadership. Your presence here underscores the importance that your government places on efficient and effective systems that essentially are for the better of our economic advancement. And I think as an ADR practitioner myself, I am proud and honored to be here on you actually launching this center. I will call upon the LAS president, who is the chairperson of the LIAC board, to give the official vote of thanks here today. Thank you.
The guest of honor, the President of the Republic of Zambia, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, the Chief Justice of the Republic of Zambia, Honorable Dr. Mumba Malila, State Counsel, the Minister of Justice, Honorable Mlambo Haimbe, MP, SC, the Minister of Commerce, Trade and Industry, Mr. Chipoka Mlenga, MP, the Chairperson. For the record, I'm the Vice, not Chairperson. I'm not Kudita here, Chair. The Chairperson of the Lusaka International Arbitration Center, Dr. Chauka Jerome Chwesha. The guarantors of the Lusaka International Arbitration Center, I recognize Zika, Engineers Association of Zambia, President, I see you in the building. I recognize that's Association of Consulting Engineers. I recognize Bankers Association of Zambia. May I simply say all guarantors. May I recognize the board members of the Lusaka International Arbitration Center and the Implementation Committee. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed, apart from a minor addition in line with the relationship issue you highlighted, President. I recognize the presence of my wife, Mrs. Zulu, so that the relationship is not in danger when I go back home. I recognize you, ma'am. The leader of the bar is in the building, By our tradition as lawyers, the leader of the bar is the Attorney General. I recognize the presence of the Attorney General of the Republic of Zambia, Mr. Mulilo Kabasha, State Counsel. I recognize the presence of the senior members of the bar, members of the inner bar, we call them State Counsel, that are present here. I am their servant too. I recognize the presence of a tireless council, it's a young council of the Law Association of Zambia that are in the building. Today is a momentous occasion for all of us, not just at the Law Association of Zambia, but also at the Lusaka International Arbitration Center. This represents a fulfilled dream for the legal profession, but not just the legal profession, for the entire business community. We have listened attentively to your various examples, guest of honor, that you have gone through. We have first-hand experience. And there are many, many other instances of frustrations, of clogged systems because of disputes. We agree with you, guest of honor, that the economy is about transactions. We are attentive to the need to facilitate transactions at the Lusaka International Arbitration Center. We know, Chair, that if there are no transactions, for lawyers we don't call it balance sheet and all. We say there will be no legal fees paid by the client. But there will be no legal fees for accountants too. There will be no legal fees for any of the professional bodies unless collectively, as citizens, we sit down and address the challenges that the economy faces. So the Lusaka International Arbitration Center is a fulfillment of the various stakeholders' interest to birth local and homegrown solutions for our economy, Mr. President. We are alive to the guidance you gave in your inaugural address to Parliament, that your government will support homegrown solutions, innovative solutions for the growth of the economy. We are responding to that call. We thank you. We thank you for your leadership and your commitment to the Lusaka International Arbitration Center. You have highlighted, and the ministers themselves have highlighted, the various support we continue to receive as LIAC from the Minister of Justice, from the Minister of Commerce, from the various stakeholders here. It is true, a center such as ours, no matter how beautiful the building may look, if it is not supported by stakeholders such as government, such as the Chief Justice who is here, and I'm happy, Chair, you highlighted the importance of the judiciary, and Mr. President, you underscored the possibility of opting out of the court systems. This is what will make this center a reality. More transactions, more disputes being brought to this center. We are delighted that you have underscored your commitment to this center, Mr. President. There was a call made by Chair as well to various stakeholders. Permit me to recognize special guest, the President of the Chinese Jiangxi Association, Mr. Zhong Zhang. Mr. Zhong Zhang, when he head of the Lusaka International Arbitration Center, he reached out to the center and is the first institution that we signed an MOU with as Lusaka International Arbitration Center to facilitate for resolution of disputes that Chinese investors will face in this country. These are the associations and alliances that we are hoping to galvanize at the Lusaka International Arbitration Center. Speaking as a lawyer, we have gotten your directive, your presidential directive, Mr. President, to change the way we draft some of these agreements. Learned colleagues, we will no longer put London as the place for the settlement of disputes in any commercial dispute, in any commercial transaction. Going forward, we commit, in reliance and obedience to that presidential directive, to incorporate the model arbitral clause that requires that any disputes in this country of a commercial nature shall be resolved nowhere else but by arbitration at the Lusaka International Arbitration Center. We call upon the business community to step forward in line with the guidance that you have given, that we must use this center, that there must be more transactions coming up in this beautiful building. Mr. President, it is my singular honor to render on behalf of the Lusaka International Arbitration Center my sincere gratitude, my sincere commendation in your stellar performance in ensuring that the economy is back to